So today I thought I'd make a really quick video on what I'm seeing in the markets right now, as I see a lot of uncertainty. I see people that are calling for 300k Bitcoin by the end of the year, and I'm seeing people that are calling for the cycle to be over and a major crash to happen. So I think with this much uncertainty, obviously we've seen a lot of choppy market action to try and get people to be wrecked, both long and short. And as we can see right here, we've got the 50 TMA line here on Bitcoin, which is a strategy I've talked about many times before. As you can see, we have closed a daily candle, actually two daily candles underneath this line, which means we are technically short. On the 4-hour chart, we can see that we are just hanging on to the bottom trend line of the channel from the upwards consolidation back in April, as Bitcoin was breaking to its new its current all-time high. And we can see that we've had many attempts to break below this consolidation line, but as of recently, it does look like it is a fourth time breakdown with potentially a failed retest, as I would count this as a fourth time breakdown because this one here has not made a new all-time high, whilst this touch point here resulted in a new all-time high being made, so I wouldn't include that in the count. So yeah, I just see the potential for the market rolling over from here, especially since my daily strategy is short as well. The trend table from the TIA Gann swing indicator is still up, but that is only because we have been going upwards for quite a few months now, since start of April, so about 2.5 months. And one thing I would like to mention is, if we look at the bottom of my screen here, I've got the BX Trender by Puppy Therapy, which is taught to me by Peter DiCarlo over at Traders Helping Traders. You can have a look at his free courses online over there that'll teach you how to use this indicator. But basically, if we have a look right now, we have 3 weeks of lower highs on the weekly time frame. And if we look back at last cycle, what happened as we got closer to the top was over here, we had 3 weeks of lower highs, followed by this final capitulation flush out, where we had this third week was pretty much a 20% down week, followed by an insane recovery, which brought us into the cycle top. You can see from the previous peak, we had our 3 weeks of lower highs, followed by this long drawn out correction, which we've already had this cycle. If we come over and have a look here, we had our 3 weeks of lower highs in December, this long drawn out correction, and now we're having the 3 weeks lower highs again. Now, the only difference this time is we have already made a new all-time high, whilst previously, in the previous cycle, this little bounce up in September 2021 did not make a new all-time high. So this is obviously making a lot of people think the cycle's already over and we are instead somewhere in like this November 21 phase. But based on all of the analysis that Michael Pizzino has been giving us on cycle timing and all of that, it just seems incredibly unlikely that the cycle is already over. Now, I can't remember which video exactly, but he goes over his cycle timing, and based on that, we should still have around 90 to 200 days left in this cycle. So that is why I think this massive bullish pennant that I've drawn here is going to play out, and we are currently in a phase E of a triangle corrective pattern. Now, obviously, I haven't drawn this pennant very well, but you can see that even though it's not perfectly drawn, I've still got a target up here at around $146,000, which isn't too conservative. Like, I hear a lot of people saying the top's going to be 120k, 130k, based off of this analysis over here, where we are using, sorry, that is the wrong chart. Give me 1 second. Based on these yellow lines up here, which is connecting all the previous all-time highs, this top yellow line, we're connecting the 2017 high, the 2021 all-time high, ignoring the high before the high, and our first all-time high for this cycle. So as you can see here, it does look like if we are going to get a September top, the peak would only be around 118K, but who knows? Honestly, 118K from here is still a, 10, 15, 20% move, depending on how far we do correct, which I do think, based off of Michael's video here, it is likely that we do see this final flush out, which I have talked about using the BX Trender indicator. So if we have a look, and based upon this week's open, if I can find my measuring tool, price range. So if we opened, say, at 106K, and we were to see a 20% flush out, which I absolutely do not think is going to happen, we would see price come all the way back down and wick below the 50-week triangular moving average, which you can see it did back in April, and it only tends to do this a couple of times each bull market, and usually each time after that we see an absolutely parabolic move. You can see the bear market low. We back tested it in March. We had a big pump in March 2023, big pump September 23, big pump September 24, big pump April 25, whilst last cycle it was pretty similar here. So you can argue that this July part here would line up with this March part here. So, and we are somewhere in this September-August correction. So it is possible that we do see this 20% correction, but as Michael has talked about heaps in his channel, this cycle has seen less severe corrections than last cycle, and even a 10% correction would only take us to the $94,000 range, which Jason Pizzino, Michael's brother, has constantly said that $93,000 is a major support level, and that would be a 11-12% correction. So could something like this happen this week, like this weekend, if, say, the US declares war on Iran, or some other crazy event like Trump or Elon saying something crashes the market? It's entirely possible, as that would also probably come pretty close to the 50% level. Oh, that is how Jason got that 93K level, the 50% level. Anyways, I guess only time will tell, but in my opinion, I am not long on Bitcoin right now, just because my daily strategy is short and my weekly strategy looks like it is about to put in a sizable correction. Now, the BX Trender, you are only meant to open a short when you get a weekly close in dark red. And obviously, based on the previous cycle, it looks like we will not see that for the rest of the cycle, like if we are somewhere in this September period here. So the next time we get a close in dark red, it will be time to go max short potentially, as that would be the start of the bear market. Like if you opened a short here at 58.5K, you would absolutely be very happy through the Luna FTX collapse and all of that. So that is exactly why I am not going short, even though my daily strategy has told me to short. Instead, what I'm doing is I am just sidelined, waiting for a capitulation, like Michael always talks about, a day with like $750 million or 1 billion or some really high amount of long liquidations. They usually tend to line up pretty well with lows like this and this. So if something like that happens, I'm going to buy the dip, of course, or I will wait for a confirmation signal like a daily close back above the 50 TMA. So something like this, where it closes below, but the price doesn't go any lower and instead reverses. See, if you got in at 104K, you still had 5, 6, 7% move in front of you. Anyways, that's just my thoughts on the market right now, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.